Good midday to you. This is the midday moment for July the 3rd, 2026, here on Following Him, the Disciple Life. The title of today's segment is very blatant, and it's not the sort of title that I relish putting up, but it is the two possibilities. Candace is ignorant or lying, and this has actually been the case for some time about many things. Recent interview on the Sean Ryan podcast, Sean Ryan show. Sean Ryan puts online. She was recently in an interview, and on this interview, we have an example of the sort of thing that Candace Owens has been doing. That is a clear warning sign that this is not the sort of person you need to be listening to for information, to get some sort of insight into truth, because there's just not a lot of truth to be found with her, I will say, anymore. I do think at one point there was a period of time where she was a force for good. She no longer is. And with this recent thing, I don't know if it's ignorance or lying. It's really going to be one of those two. But the discussion of the word goy came up. Now, here's the thing about the word goy. For somebody that studies scripture and that even digs into the Hebrew, somebody like myself, because I will dig into the Hebrew to study certain things and stuff. We have a certain connotation for the word goy among the anti-Semite Jew hatred segment of society, the segment of society that everything is the fault of the Jewish people, everything is the fault of Israel, and all this sort of thing. Goy has become to them a type of slur. It is a way, if somebody doesn't hate the Jewish people or doesn't support conspiracy theories about the Jews, they'll say things like "good goy" and "oh, you're a good little goy." Recently on the Sean Ryan program, this matter of the word goy comes up, and Sean is basically nations, and Candace says no, that it doesn't, that it means cattle, that saying it means nations, that this is just some sort of lie, that it once again, that she said it means cattle. Well, here's the thing: the Hebrew word for cattle or bovine species, because we think cattle, we think like cows, but it can include things like oxen, is the Hebrew word bakar. The Hebrew word that means people or foreigner or Gentile or nation is the Hebrew word goy, and of course sometimes found in the plural form goyim. That word is the Hebrew word for nation or people or foreigner or Gentile. Candace Owens, that word does not mean cattle. What are you talking about? Candace is either speaking from ignorance, that she ran across this with, some people, like, their source of information is memes and blog posts. It'll be some sort of conspiracy theorist meme. The whole thing, like people that say that Easter comes from the word Ishtar, which it doesn't. Easter has Germanic origins. Ishtar, that's Sumerian. Those are not even the same people groups. The word that Easter comes from, it actually comes from the name of a month, Eoster Moneth, which maybe has roots with a Germanic goddess named Eostre, although we have one source for that, and that source is it's questioned how accurate he is. But no, it doesn't come from Ishtar at all. And if it comes from a Germanic goddess, it's not directly from her. It's from a month that's named after her. And by the time they started calling Easter, nobody was worshiping her anymore, if anybody ever had. That's another video. So maybe she got it from a meme like this, though, is my point, before I ramble on with that anymore. Maybe she saw a meme that said, actually, goy means cattle, and they made some sort of weird connection somehow. I'm not sure how they would make that connection. Now, maybe it was with another language that had a similar sounding word that meant cattle. I'm unaware of a language that has that. Maybe it's out there. And so maybe she spoke in her ignorance, or maybe she's just lying. Because the thing is, she has no problem passing on misinformation about Erica Kirk, about Charlie Kirk, about the circumstances around when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, around Tyler Robinson. People, this little thing, you might say, "Well, what's the big deal? Talking about a Hebrew word." Well, that she's so willing to so blatantly pass this misinformation on. Either she's incredibly lazy and doesn't check her sources. Now, I did some, even though I've used this word for years, I was looking into it. It's used over 500 times in the Hebrew Bible. I think a total of 557. I think you might check me on that, but I know it's over 500 times that goy or some form of it. These words are found in slightly different forms depending on different grammatical things there in the Hebrew Bible. I checked it, and I'm familiar with the word. I've used the word with my familiarity with the Hebrew language. I've used the word. So either she's too lazy and doesn't care enough to actually check, or she's willing to just blatantly lie. It's one of the two. This is not a good source. Christians, disciples of the Christ, we're supposed to be lovers of what is true. That is not something Candace Owens is passing on these days. Candace Owens is passing on lies and misinformation, and this misusage and misinformation about the word goy is just another example of that. So be wary of what you listen to and take in. And yes, do check up on this stuff. It is very easy to check on the meanings of Bible words these days with Bible software. There are all sorts of sites right now where you can dig into the original language. Don't be getting your Hebrew information from Candace Owens. You have a good rest of the day, and shalom.